Hi, I hope you guys have had a beautiful, blessed day. I know it has been a while since you've heard from us on Oasis page, so I decided to hop on here for a quick moment. Initially, I deactivated first and then deleted my social media accounts as I had some time sensitive projects that I needed to work on within my life, as well as needing to learn better time management skills. But while I am on here, I wanted to share something that happened to me a few days ago, last week actually. Um, I decided to go work out at the park as I am on a weight loss journey, which is very tedious. But if you don't start somewhere, you'll never end up at your final destination. So I decided to go work out at the park. And the park that I was located at is not necessarily in a forest, but the setting of it looks like a forest. So you have this trail, and around this trail are a whole bunch of trees. And you have a chance to, enjoy nature as you are walking on the trail. So during my workout, I was coming up on this spot that may have had maybe about 5 or 6 clusters of trees, and I was immediately drawn into this particular setting of the park. Normally, when this happens, I know that God is getting ready to speak to me. So it's very important to make sure that you are sensitive enough to hear the voice of God, not only spiritually, but also pay attention to your physical body as God can speak to you, by way of causing some type of sensation to go on within your body. So as I was walking the park, my mind's eye was immediately drawn into this area of this park. And the first thing that I heard was, how were you as a child? What were you like as a child? And I was immediately drawn into this vision of myself as a child playing with my first cousins or friends within the community, as the community that I grew up in. I saw myself in a vision playing, laughing, and enjoying nature and trying to build tree houses and playing hide go seek or whatever game that you could think of that children play. Those are some of the things that I did when I was a child. And God spoke to me and said, go deeper. How were you characteristically speaking as a child? And I began to think, I was forgiving, I was loving, I was nurturing, I was happy, I always wanted to play. And so God also said to me, come to me as a child. Come to me as a child. And I was immediately drawn to the scripture, Matthew 18, verse 3, and it says, verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. And that made a lot of sense as I was brought to the scripture, and I knew where God was going with this. If you think about children, children are the closest thing to the Spirit of God. They're the most sensitive to the Spirit of God because they just came into this world maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So you can learn a lot from a child between the ages of, of even a baby all the way up until they become into their teenage years. But you can learn a lot because they're very sensitive spiritually. They just came from the spirit realm. And so as a child, I remembered that I was very loving. It was easily for me to forgive. And if you have children or children in your life, if you pay attention to them, whenever they bicker or go against one another or fight as siblings, within the next couple of minutes, they are forgiving and loving one another. And those are some of the characteristics that God says that we should carry as a child in order to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Now, if you just read this scripture, this one scripture, without going further, you may automatically assume, okay, well, God is saying to me, in order for me to enter into heaven, when I die, I have to come as a child, or I have to be the child that I was, you know, in this physical reality. But that's not what it's saying, because there's also a scripture, I think it's Luke chapter 17, verse 21, and it talks about how the kingdom of heaven is within you, which talks about the condition of your heart, which talks about the condition of your mind. And so if the kingdom of heaven is within you, and God is saying you should not enter into the kingdom of heaven if you don't come as a child, meaning that if you don't have pure or childlike intentions, because children are pure, they innocent. If you don't have those conditions within your heart or your mind, then you're not going to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And so a lot of times we have a hard time forgiving people because of some of the things that we may have experienced from that person, or they may have brought about a lot of challenges mentally within our life. But God is saying, in order for you to enter into heaven, the kingdom of heaven, which is within you, in order for you to live in a constant state of joy, peace, and harmony, you have to be as a child. You have to be loving. You have to be forgiving. You have to have pure intentions toward those around you and even yourself. And even if you go further on, after Matthew chapter 18, verse 3, it talks about how it's better for a man, for those who offend these children that God is speaking of, it's better for them to have a milestone wrapped around their neck. So, of course, this context is speaking of something that we will experience as we're alive and not necessarily after we die. So I just wanted to leave that there. I don't want to go on, but I just wanted to share this with you guys, because a lot of times when God speaks to me, if I have a feeling of being full, I know that he wants me to release it to someone else. And sometimes he speaks to me, I don't have that feeling, and I know that the message is specifically for me. So whoever you are, if you are facing a situation where it's hard for you to let go and release some of the things that you have experienced in your life, God is saying, in order for you to enter into a constant state of joy, peace, and harmony, you have to release that burden. You have to release that baggage and become as a child. If you think about children, they don't have a worry in the world. All they do is play, laugh, and love. And when they're mad and angry, they're only there for a short period of time. And they easily release it and move on to the next thing, because their main objective in the world is to be happy and to love. So I hope that you have enjoyed this message. If you have any questions, if you want to comment, feel free to comment under the video or send me a message in my inbox. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.